So, everybody's read the news, or heard the news at least. There's been a Muslim ban put into place, right? Well, maybe not. So this executive order released from President Trump on Sunday, January 29th, 2017, is a ban on Muslims, right? It's unconstitutional, I mean, these people have rights under the Constitution. At least that's what you hear from the progressive Democrats and even most of the news media. The truth of the matter is not really in favor of these people, however. The first issue is that the president has prosecutorial power when it comes to the management of immigration. This was approved and upheld by the Supreme Court of the United States in the case of the state of Arizona versus President Obama, not that long ago, in which the court ruled that the president had lone authority as to how immigration was granted and how visas were obtained. The president also has sole discretion as to how to enforce immigration law, and nobody can enforce that law in any way which differs from the president's determinations. The second point of this situation is that previous presidential policy called the Visa Waiver Program Improvement and Terrorist Travel Prevention Act of 2015. This act altered and halted visas from citizens from the following countries: Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen. So the new order is a continuation of this already existing law. Also, people with dual citizenship or one of the previously mentioned countries are prevented from entering the United States unless they already had a green card. Things like this have been happening for quite some time in this country. It is not something new. In fact, things like this order have happened under President Obama, President Carter, President Johnson, and even President Roosevelt. That's FDR, for those of you listening and keeping up. Not Teddy Roosevelt, but Franklin Delano Roosevelt. These presidents halted immigration in several instances to protect American public from attacks from enemy action. These actions were all considered constitutional at the time and weren't successfully challenged. So now people are saying that this concept is evil, that we are doing it wrong. And they're wanting to know they don't want to know who is entering the country and whether or not they have America's best interest at heart. We just need to let everyone in. Well, this is just flat out a fallacy. We know we have issues with vetting people and that the UN vetting of refugees is spotty at best. Especially in countries like Yemen and Syria, where there are no governments at the moment, because they have so much going on and so many people infighting that there's no centralized government actually taking place. Now, the fact that 2 green card holders were caught up in this whole situation on Sunday is sad. They've already amended the order so that green card holders will not be caught up again in this situation. And that was a mistake. It really was. The White House has already admitted it. They've already taken steps to rectify the issue. But something you have to look at is that immigration law in the U.S. is at the discretion of the president. The laws get passed by Congress, but the president has to enact them. And so what countries can submit for visas, and which states are responsible for which visas, and how to vet the people applying for visas, this is all at the president's discretion, and it's perfectly normal. This is not a ban on Muslims. In fact, nowhere in the order does it say Muslims at all. It stipulates which countries are going to fall in to the temporary halt of visa issuances. But it doesn't state that it's only the Muslims from those countries. It's all people from those countries. And while those countries are primarily Muslim, they are not exclusively Muslim. So this will also affect the Christians from those countries as well, which is why this ban is temporary and not permanent. I mean, we need to look at these people a little closer if we're going to prevent things like the Boston bombing and the Chattanooga attack, which happened because of refugees that had been brought into the United States. So we need to secure our borders, and we need to know who is entering our country. I don't condone violence against immigrants coming into this country. I don't think that we should be, harassing or harming these people, but we do need to know who they are, really, and why they're coming here. Because if they're not coming here to integrate and become part of our country, then we probably don't want them here. And if you don't like the way that this is being handled, well then perhaps you need to take it up with Supreme Court Justice Kennedy and for his ruling on the state of Arizona versus President Obama, as well as President Carter and other Democrat powerhouses that have pushed these kind of bans in the past. Because all this is an enactment very similar to what they have already done. And it's just a precaution and not even a permanent ban from these countries, but a temporary halt from these countries. And if you can't understand that, then perhaps it's time you did some reading and learn exactly what's going on in the world. I'm including some actual cited sources from government websites that show the individual information that I'm discussing in this podcast here. And I hope you take some time to read them because they're very enlightening. Thank you and have a good day.